You know on the beat every time, though. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that while I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that that's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the court. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your station, not dropping no music. Starts like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're after dark, no LA. We the big spark, no 4th and inches won't cut you short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live, all 3 speaks go.
And what is up, everybody? Michael Buckheiser here with the Man Hour. Head over to manhour.com. Pick yourself up some merchandise, or if you're listening to us on the Big X Sports Radio 96.1, give us a huge shout out over on Facebook. Drop a like over on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Man Hour Sports Talk. This is the live, raw, and uncut sports talk with my host, Brandon Combs. What's going on, Brandon?
What is going on, Michael Buckheister? What are we doing, buddy?
Dude, I am doing Christmas shopping. Of course, you know, I am a typical man, and this is the Man Hour. And we men procrastinate about Christmas shopping, and it is now what, like 4 or 5 days before Christmas, and I haven't done anything yet. I literally have done
for yourself, because I'm a man too, and I've been done with my Christmas shopping for 2 weeks. Well, let me rephrase that. I've been done with my Christmas shopping for 2 weeks. However, my girlfriend Michelle likes to continue the Christmas shopping that she said we were done with. So we're still not really done with Christmas shopping, as she went out Christmas shopping yesterday after work. So
right. So let me ask you this question, okay? So me and my lovely wife have been married now for 4 years, and our anniversary is in June. And she wanted a new ring, like they were discontinuing a ring that she really, really liked, and it was like half price. So we got a great deal on it, and it was pretty costly. And like, she's like, this, if like, when you buy me this ring, it is good for a birthday present, a Christmas present, and next year's anniversary.
that's a lie.
That is exactly what I was getting ready to ask you. Should I get her a Christmas present, or should I be like, look, you told me, right?
No, look, you are out of your mind. It is a trap. Do not do it. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Look, my girlfriend has said repeatedly, we are not doing Christmas gifts for one another. We are not. She's getting a Christmas gift. Whether I get one or not, I don't really care. But she's getting one, because there's never going to be a time where she can say, well, you didn't even get me anything last year. No.
Right.
No. I don't care what it is. You're getting something.
Yeah.
And so
I'm almost on because like we have the same thing. Like, she's like, hey, I'll just buy my own, and like, you get what you want, and we'll wrap it and we'll give it to each other. And I know her better than that. So I'm going to get a burner gift. You know, it's just so if she does give me something, I can pull it out. But if she doesn't give me anything, like, I can save it on for like a birthday or an anniversary.
No. Right? See, you give that to her anyway, because then that's your one up. That's your like, oh, you know what? I still gave you something, and I didn't really get anything in return. I can't believe you did that to me.
So what you're saying, it's a competition without being a competition at the end of the day. Huh?
Absolutely, man. And you know what's the most fun is when you spend money on somebody. Like, I did this to my girlfriend's daughter last year. I bought her AirPods, and she really wanted them, and everybody told her no, and I got her the AirPods. Well, I put them in a big box, and I wrapped that box with duct tape.
I love doing
that. And I wrapped the AirPods with duct tape. Like, and I used a roll of duct tape on the box and a roll of duct tape on the AirPods. Like, it was pretty insane, but that's the stuff I love to do. I love, you know, messing with people and watching them squirm.
Yeah.
Like today, my girlfriend came home from work and walked into the bathroom and saw this lovely shower curtain that her mom had purchased for her. And I knew what the reaction was going to be. But this shower curtain, I'm telling you, Buck, I sent you a picture.
It's very loud.
This thing has cats all over it, just cat faces. It's not even cats. It's just like huge pictures of cat faces. And I knew what was going to happen as soon as she walked in there. And when she walked in there, she said, you know what? That's it. We're moving out. You guys can have this house. We're going to get a house of our own.
and like if you guys can like picture like the most godly ugliest thing you've ever pictured in your life, watch us live on YouTube, youtube.com/man hour. I believe it is Wednesdays that we do the what the segment, and we pop up this overlay, and it's just full of like random faces. That's exactly what this cat shower curtain will look like. It's just so random. But speaking of bad, I mean, this is Saturday morning here on Big X Sports Radio 96.1. You guys can definitely tune into us if you miss any part of the show on iTunes and Spotify as well. Notre Dame's coach Brian Kelly says the Irish could boycott the playoff if families are not allowed to attend these games, aka if they have to play in California or Louisiana in the Sugar Bowl or the Rose Bowl. Brandon, you are an Irish fan. You Brian Kelly is your boy. Like, you guys are like best friends, BFFs. Like, what is the subliminal message about this?
I only like him because he listens to the show. And because he's the head coach of Notre Dame. That's another reason I like him. But I get what he's saying here, but there's a lot of emptiness to what he's saying here, because I guarantee you at the end of the day, Notre Dame makes it to the college football playoff. If the NCAA still decides, hey, we're still playing this at the Rose Bowl or we're still playing this at the Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame's athletic director is going to say, I really don't care about the parents. You go make this university some money like you're paid to do. You get on that plane and you head to the Rose Bowl or you head to the Sugar Bowl. And not only that, though, but for the players. I mean, look, yes, these kids work their entire lives to get to this moment, okay? Right. And to play in the college football playoff is a big deal. To play for a national title is a big deal. And they work their tails off to get there, and their families are a big part of getting them there. So is it nice to let them be able to share in that moment? Sure. But right now, at this moment in December of 2020, we are in a different time. And in this time, unfortunately, there are things that are going on that are beyond our control, and they're not going to allow fans in stadiums in certain areas of the world. And if that's where you have to go play to play in this title game, then you go and do it. Now, on the flip side of that, I will say that the NCAA should step in and move this game. I mean, we've got a beautiful new field over in Arlington that you could move this game to. You've got all sorts of places in Texas. I'm pretty sure Jerry Jones would love to host a college football playoff game in Texas Stadium. And so there are plenty of places you could move these games to. Hell, you could move this college football playoff to a bubble in Florida if you wanted to.
Yeah, definitely.
And keep these kids all, in the same area so you don't have the problem with the COVID-19 outbreak the night before the college football championship or something. So they should step in and they should move these games and make sure they're not being played in high COVID-19 areas, and make sure that they've got these kids, locked up and sealed tight. And I really, to be honest with you, I mean, a bubble makes absolutely perfect sense than it does to spread these kids out and take the risk of COVID ruining your college football playoff.
Well, first things first is I agree with you 100%. Everything that you said, I agreed with you 100%. I'm not, don't get this twisted whatsoever. But on the flip side of things, the college kids are kind of already in a bubble as is when they go to these locations for these games, right? Simply because you are there a week to 10 days before the game. You are doing the press conferences. They're doing the like talking to the press and the fans and so you're there for like a week, to 10 days isolated anyways. But on the flip side of this, what Brian Kelly is saying, I get it. Yes, my parents never missed a game. When we were playing in Texas, they were there. When we were playing in Colorado, they were there. With that being said, I remember very, very fondly my junior year of college. We were playing in the Alamo Bowl, and we won the Alamo Bowl. And I did not see my parents until we got back to the hotel. So basically what Brian Kelly was trying to like say is like as he wants the families to come down onto the field to celebrate with their kids, and it doesn't work like that. Like seriously, I did not see my parents until I got back to the hotel. Like I looked for them in the stands. I couldn't find them.
Did you win a national championship though? I mean
No.
that's different. When they win the
Right.
national championship, the families do come on the field. They do. I mean, you see it in every sport. I mean, we saw it with the World Series with the whole
you're right, yeah.
the Dodgers thing when not Trey Turner, but Turner there I can't remember his first name, the third baseman for the Dodgers, when he came out on the field and removed his mask, but he was kissing his wife, kissing his kids, walking around doing
Right.
whatever he was doing. You're going to see the same thing when they win a national championship, and I think that's what Brian Kelly's getting at. If Notre Dame gets to the national title game, which is a huge if.
Well, so on that flip side of the coin, the national title game is not at the Rose Bowl. The national title game is not at the Sugar Bowl. The national title game is at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. That's where the national title game is, and they're allowing, I believe, full capacity fans there. So
that's the other thing with the NCAA. There is, you're going to send these kids to one end of the country. You're trying to minimize travel. This whole thing was we're only playing in our conference because we're minimizing travel. We want to minimize the risk of COVID.
That was not an NCAA choice.
All right, but so now these conferences, it was a conference choice, that's fine, but these conferences are now allowing their teams to travel to one end of the country to play the semifinal games and then to travel to the other end of the country to play the final game. This whole thing with the college football does not make sense to me. This whole thing with the conferences saying it's all about the kids, it's all about the safety, we're not doing this for anything else, blah, 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 blah. Bull crap. It's about the money. The Big Ten showed it with Ohio State and changing the rule, and college football and all of these conferences, the ACC, the SEC, the Big Ten are all full of crap because it is all about making that money in the end, and that's why they are okay with sending kids from one end of the country to the other end of the country to play in this college football playoff anyway.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It is all about kid safety during the regular season. Once December 25th hits, it is all about making money and making money for your school, for your basketball programs, for your baseball programs, etc. When you go to a postseason bowl game, you will get a minimum of $400 or $4 million for the conference, right? And then obviously, like, it gets spread out like among the schools.
Yeah.
And if you win that bowl game, you get $6 million. Like, that is average. So think about this: if you are Notre Dame, they don't have a conference, right? They are not in a conference, and like I'm not for sure if
they are this year.
Yeah, but are they getting the bowl sharing money this year because of joining the ACC?
I would assume so. I would assume so.
Okay, so let's say 2-3 years down the road, they get into the playoffs this year because they are part of the ACC. Next year, they are in the same boat and they lose a game to who was a good team that they might play next year. Let's say they're playing. Let's say they're playing Alabama and they lose it mid-season. So they are 10-1 going into the championship game, but the bowl committee's like, you know what? We don't want you in there because you are no longer part of the ACC. With that being said, in 2023, let's say Notre Dame joins the ACC because they want to get into that bowl championship playoff over and over and over, but they burn this ACC bridge because they refuse to go to the college football playoff. Notre Dame cannot do this right now. They have to play in the bowl game, not only for the conference but for the school. Think about how many recruits they can lose by not playing this in the championship games.
And that's exactly why I said what I said with there's a lot of emptiness to what Brian Kelly's saying here, is because ultimately the AD is going to say, look, I get what you're saying, I understand, I feel for the families, but get your butt on the plane and get to wherever you need to get to play this game, because not only is there too much money at stake, but the future of our college football program is at stake here.
Yeah.
So there's no way they don't play if they do make the college football playoff, which I think even if they lose today, they're going to make that college football playoff.
All right, Brandon. So let's go ahead and take a quick little break. On the other side of the break, we are going to continue our college football talk. There are more opt-outs happening. There are some big-name colleges starting to drop from the postseason consideration, and we're going to dive more into that on the Man Hour, guys. Brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. Use promo code MANHOUR to get up to $50 match on your first deposit. That's thrivefantasy.com. You can download on iOS and Android devices as well. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckhouse with Brandon Combs. You head over to mikeandmikemanhour.com. Pick yourself up some merchandise. We got hats, beanies, and hoodies over there. And if you missed any part of the show whatsoever, you can download this on podcast form, Spotify, iTunes, and iHeartRadio as well. So, Brandon, before we went to break there, we were talking about Notre Dame and Brian Kelly saying that if fans are not allowed to go to their games, they are going to opt out of the college football postseason. But there are teams out there that have already opted out of the NCAA postseason, notably which of this week alone on Wednesday of last week, I should say, Kansas State, Louisville, and Virginia Tech have all opted out of bowl considerations, adding to the list of Boston College, Pittsburgh, Stanford, Virginia, and LSU. Of course, LSU has a self-imposed one-year ban anyway, so they weren't going to play a postseason game. Are you okay with these schools opting out of these postseason bids?
Yeah, I mean, again, we are in December of 2020. It's a different time. If they decide as a school, hey, look, the money's not, it just gives another school a chance to step up that probably normally wouldn't have the opportunity to. So does that bother me at all? No. It's not like it's the college football playoff. I guarantee you, if it was the college football playoff, they'd have a different attitude towards it. But it's not. So, what's the sense in taking a risk and putting your kids and your football team at jeopardy to go play, the Amco Car Care Bowl or whatever bowl game is out there that is going to bring you. I get there's still some money at stake, but if you're as a school you're okay with opting out of it, then I have no problem with you opting out of it either.
I have a huge problem.
Really?
With this, mainly because as a college athlete, this is my goal at the end of the year is to get a big shiny ring on my finger at the end of the season. I don't care if it's the Alamo Bowl, the Honolulu Bowl, or the national championship. I'm still going to have a championship ring on my finger one way or the other. And when my coach or AD says, guys, you know what? I'm glad you went 7-2 this year and we put our bodies on the line for 12 weeks and you busted your butt, blood, sweat, and tears. We're all brotherhood. We're all family. But then me and this $1 million suit guy are going to make a decision of your future to say, you know what? No, we aren't going to play because we are scared, like all of a sudden of the corona. If they were scared of the COVID and scared about and worried about the players' safety, they should have opted out the whole season, not played the whole season, just not the postseason. Not only this is like one of my biggest recruiting factors to go to K-State when I was being recruited out of high school and then out of JUCO was the fact to play in January, play in December. I never had that opportunity to do that in high school because, our season ended Thanksgiving. Just to play in December, to play on TV, to show out for my mom, and to think about this. How big of a recruiting tactic is it for these schools like Kansas State, like Iowa, like Colorado? You go to these southern states, and I literally had kids on my JUCO team that had never left the state of Kansas. When we went to our bowl games, in Alabama and Louisiana, they were awestruck. They wanted to stay there for 4 years because they got to leave the state. Like,
and I get it. I get what you're saying. Like, and I look, I am all about competing. I'm the biggest competitor you will ever meet in your entire life. I don't even let my kids win when we play sorry. Like, I compete at everything. And so while I'm not against the schools not going to bowl games, because I assume that it's not just the athletic director. I assume they probably took a team vote. And while some kids are probably not very happy that they're not going to a bowl game, other kids might be all right with it. And I don't fault anybody right now, just same way I didn't fault anybody in Major League Baseball or the NFL or the NBA or the NHL who decided not to play this season. You know, COVID's one of those things where it's one of those things where you've got two types of people in this world. You got positive thinkers and you've got negative thinkers. And the positive thinkers are out there saying, you know what, yeah, this thing's out there and it's real, and if I catch I'll deal with it at that point. The negative thinkers are like, man, if I get this, then this person can get, you know what I mean? And it goes on and on and on. So to tell half of your team, yes, I know you guys want to go, but this other half of your team doesn't want to go, I think you have to err on the side that doesn't want to go. Because if you take the half that don't want to go and you say, hey, look, these guys want to go, so we're all going as a team, blah, blah, blah. If not, then there's repercussions or whatever you would do, because you do have to take a full team, obviously, to go to these games. And then something did happen, then I think you open yourself up as a school to more issues than you really want. And I think it's easier to, especially in this day and age, in this world that we're living in right now, I think it is easier to appease the people that are not wanting to go and the mindset that they're in than it is to appease the kids that do want to go and then have something happen to the kids that said they didn't want to go in the first place. Because I'm just telling you, man, it's going to open up a can of worms for these schools. So I do not have a problem with them not going. And I get what you're saying. I do understand the competitive in you, but you also did not play during, you know, a time like COVID. So I think it's easier said than done for us, because we could sit up here. Look, if they opened up the stadium right now, if they decide they're going to play the ACC title game in Chicago and they said, if you want to have fans in stadiums, we'll fill the stadium, I'd have a ticket. Like, that's just me. I would go. You know, a lot of people are like, I can't wait till COVID's over so I can do this, this, and this. I can't wait till COVID's over so I could be in a packed stadium with a bunch of screaming fans rooting for the same damn team that I'm rooting for. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. So
just to add to your point there, let's say half of the team in theory did not want to go, right? Because they are scared of not scared, but the COVID concerns, you know, like the home life, or they have underlying health conditions, etc. Mm-hmm. I would say to them, like, if me and you were on the same team and you said, I don't want to go because of this, and this, I would say, why did you play all 9 games with me then this year? We were worse off back in July than we are now. And that there were more unknowns in July than there are now. Why do you want to opt out now?
I would say to you that playing 9 games within our own home stadium and within the realms of traveling maybe 200 to 300 miles at the most is a lot different than going to wherever for the Meineke Car Care Bowl or the Honolulu freaking, you know, Hawaii Bowl. It's a lot different. There's a lot more risk. Whether, you know, again, it's all about the mindset. Like, I'm not a big, you know, COVID guy, but it's all about the mindset. If you feel like there's a bigger risk, and you've maybe even got somebody in your family who is high risk. I mean, hell, me and my girlfriend, we live in a household with her elderly parents, my grandmother who has early onset dementia. I haven't seen her more than once during this whole COVID thing, not because I'm afraid of it, but because of the what if I do have it and I'm asymptomatic and I bring it to them and then they get sick, because then that's on my conscience. And so there are those people that do think like that. Like I can't have that on my conscience that, no, look, I didn't really believe in it. I thought that I'd be all right, and I probably would be all right if I had it. But the fact is, my 92-year-old grandmother who, has really bad health problems probably won't be okay if she gets it. So it's a catch-22. You know what I mean? When there's more risk involved,
Right.
It is what it is. Like me, I mean, hell, next week I'm driving from Chicago to Vermont to go see my kids. So there's, I'm not afraid to travel, but there are people that are. So
Yeah, but like on the flip side of the coin, if you are my head coach coming to me to recruit me from high school saying we are going to go to a bowl game, and then all of a sudden you say, no, we're not going to go, I am more apt to transfer out of that school because you dropped your word on me than, I don't know.
I don't disagree. I just think it's just a different time. So though that mentality has to at least have some sort of, hey, I'm upset. I'm hurt.
You also have to
really
realize they're messing with their NFL chances, because think about this: how many NFL scouts are watching those games?
Right, but see, there's underlying. I mean, these are extreme circumstances. So, look, they'll find a way to make up and to showcase the kids that didn't play at these games. They'll find a way to get it done. Those kids that wanted to play will go play in the blue versus gray game or whatever all-star game that college football has. They will find a way to go play there to showcase their talents. But whatever offensive lineman from Ball State who's probably not going to the NFL doesn't exactly need to be there. And if he doesn't want to go, then it's not a big deal.
Yeah, just also on the flip side of the coin, everybody that is playing college football this year is getting a free year of eligibility anyways. So they could, in theory, come back next year and be a 6-year senior if they wanted to. But, guys, we are going to take a little break. On the other side of the man hour, it is championship weekend. We have some big games happening. Ohio State versus Northwestern, OU versus Iowa State, Clemson, Notre Dame, the game of the weekend, I bet. Bama versus Florida. We're going to break all those games down for you guys here on the other side of the man hour. We write this right back after this break. And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckhouse with Brandon Combs. Head over to manhour.com. Pick yourself up some merchandise. We got hats, hoodies, and T-shirts. And this is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. Head over to thrivefantasy.com. Use promo code MANHOUR, and they will match up to $50 on your first deposit. That is promo code MANHOUR. And you can also download on iOS and Android devices as well. So, Combs, we have been talking a lot of Ohio State football here on the Man Hour on all platforms. You guys can check us out every Monday through Thursday live on youtube.com/Man Hour at 8 p.m. East Coast time starting January 4th. But we have basically been talking Ohio State ad nauseum right now of like, if IU is getting screwed, should we really let OU or Ohio State into the Big Ten championship game? But nonetheless, they are in the Big Ten championship game. They are playing Northwestern. Combs, tell me how Northwestern can win this game versus Ohio State this weekend.
Defense. Defense. Look, the Ohio State offense is far superior to Northwestern's offense. Justin Fields, down the list. Teague, the running back. Wilson, their number one wide receiver there. They are just heads and shoulders above Northwestern. However, Northwestern has only allowed 14.6 points per game, and that Ohio State defense has allowed 23.2 points per game. If this defense shows up if this defense can put pressure on Justin Fields, if this defense can at least contain, let him eat. And I used to say this all the time, but it was the way to beat the Cowboys after Dak went down. Let Zeke eat and stop everybody else. That's how you win this game. The defense shows up, stop the passing game, and let the running game eat a little bit, and you can compete in this game. I am beyond rooting for Northwestern in this game. I am all in on the Wildcats. I am all in on shutting down Ohio State. Sorry, Zen. You're our boy, but right now, with what the Big Ten has allowed Ohio State to do, I am all in on Northwestern stopping Ohio State and creating so much havoc for the Big Ten and doing what they need to do to get this done and get a Big Ten title here in Chicago.
Yeah, and I hear everything that you said, and I want to echo it because you are. I'm not going to echo it because you're wrong. Ohio State can win this game by simply just showing up. They can play a C or B game, and they're going to roll Northwestern. Unfortunately, in this game, they have such a balanced attack at a pass. I mean, they are averaging over 280 yards passing per game this season, and they're averaging over 250 yards on the ground this season. They're also averaging over 45 points per game as well. And you said just let them run the ball. You want to make Justin Fields pass the ball down the field. That's the only way you're going to be able to remotely compete with them, is if hopefully Ohio State scores quickly.
Respect.
So Northwestern can sustain their long drives a little bit.
You have got no respect. You better put some respect on Pat Fitzgerald and this Wildcats defense.
Pat Fitzgerald is checked
all
out.
Ohio State has to do is show up. Are you out of your mind, sir?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not out of my mind.
Dude,
because
right, so,
we were saying that they could literally show up with all the 22 of their starters out and still beat Northwestern in this game.
Buck. This team allowed 3 points to Maryland, 20 points to Iowa, 13 points to Nebraska, 20 points to Purdue. They shut down Wisconsin and held Wisconsin to 7 points. Wisconsin's probably just got just as good of an offense as they do as Ohio State does. Michigan State, yes, that was their one loss. They had a hiccup there. They fell asleep. They should have rolled Michigan State, but they didn't. And then the game against Minnesota got canceled, and then they held Illinois to 10 points. This team does not give up points, Buck. This defense is for real. This defense can stop Ohio State, and this defense can be what stops Ohio State from going to college football playoff, and this defense can say, ha, Big Ten, don't ever change your rules again.
On the flip side of that coin, look what Ohio State has scored this season. 52 points, 38 points, 49, 42, and 52 points. One game under 40 points, and the rest are damn near 50 points. So come on.
They put up 52 against Nebraska. I put up 52 against Nebraska. They put up 49 against Rutgers. My 12-year-old stepdaughter put up 49 against Rutgers, okay? They put up 42 against Indiana, and they put up 52 against Michigan State. Look, I outscored them versus Michigan State, so I don't know what you're looking at. But I'm telling you right now, you are sleeping. And I hope to God that every offensive player at Ohio State is thinking the same way you are right now. And I hope to God they think they can just show up and beat this Northwestern team. Because if that's what they think, boy, are they in for a long day tomorrow. And I will love every damn second of it heading into that Notre Dame Clemson game.
And moving on to the next championship game, the Big 12 championship game, OU, ranked number 10 right now, take on number 6 Iowa State. This is a must-win for Iowa State if they even want to have a chance at the college football playoff. Brandon, how does Iowa State win this game?
So, look, Iowa State's the better team in this game. Purdy is a damn good quarterback. 2,200 pass yards this season, 17 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. The running back haul has 1,300, almost 1,400 yards rushing, and their top wide receiver has 612 yards receiving. And so this Iowa State offense is potent, and Oklahoma allows 22 points a game. I think they're going to allow 30 in this one. Iowa State, they're good. They're going to be in for a fight because Oklahoma's good too. Their offense is a force as well. But I think that Iowa State, all they have to do is come out and do what they've done all year, and that is just play Iowa State football. Run the ball well, pass the ball well, keep that Oklahoma offense off the field.
Yeah, so Iowa State's a very, very good team. Iowa State did play Oklahoma earlier this season, beating them 37-30. But on the flip side of that coin, Spencer, their quarterback for Oklahoma, was just a shell of himself. The Oklahoma offense was still trying to find themselves a tad bit. After that Iowa State game, they beat Texas 53-45 in a great game. If you remember that game, we were talking mad props to Mike and after that game. But how Oklahoma is going to win this game is Spencer Rattler has to be great this game. He cannot be a shell of himself like he was the first 3 weeks of the season. He has to play like he has been the last 5. He also has to roll out of the pocket, much like what he has been doing the last 5 games. Spencer Rattler is not a pocket quarterback. He's like 5'6", maybe 5'7" tops. He has to roll out, and he feels more comfortable when he can see the field. So definitely roll him out of the pocket. Also, Oklahoma has to jump out on Iowa State early. Iowa State's a very, very balanced team, much like what you said. They can run and pass the ball very, very effectively. Jump out on Iowa State early. Make them a one-dimensional team. Make them into a passing team. I'm talking not a 14-0. I'm talking like 21-28-0 score quickly. You have to jump on them quickly. Throw out some trick plays. Throw out some flea flickers. Throw out your cowboy play. Throw out whatever you can to get Iowa State on their heels to jump out early. Next things first, rushing is going to be a big key in this game. The first team to 100 yards rushing on the ground is going to win this game. That's why Oklahoma is going to win this game, because they're going to jump out on them early. And once they're out there early, they have learned from their mistakes by losing to my Kansas State Wildcats after giving up a 28-point lead in the fourth quarter. And they're going to rush the ball and they're going to milk the clock. That's why they're going to win this game.
Yeah, look, this is going to be a really good game. It's just too bad it's on the same time as Northwestern and Ohio State, because unless Northwestern's getting rolled, I'm not going to see any of this game. But this is going to be a really good game. This is going to be one of those hard games to pick. 2 really good games. This could be the best game of the championship weekend.
Yeah, and the one thing that Oklahoma also has an advantage of is this is a must-win for Iowa State, because if Iowa State loses this game, no Big 12 team is getting into the Big 12 championship then. Yeah. So Oklahoma can play a little bit more looser and definitely, throw out some more of those trick plays. Next game up at 4:00 on ABC, we do have number 3 Clemson take on your number 2 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. How do the Irish win this game?
Again, defense. Do everything exactly the same way you did versus Clemson in the first game. I am so sick and tired of hearing people, they beat Clemson, but Clemson, they didn't have Mr. Wonderful. They didn't have Trevor Lawrence. Well, I'll tell you right now, their quarterback also threw for almost 400 yards and had 4 touchdowns. Quarterback play was not the issue when Notre Dame beat Clemson the first time. Notre Dame's defense came to play in that game. Notre Dame's defense had the takeaways. Notre Dame's defense did everything right in that game. Did they score a lot of points? Yes, it was a back and forth. It's what you expect from 2 top teams in college football. Defense very rarely is dominant in games like this. And so that's all they have to do. Just the exact same thing that you did in the first game, and Notre Dame wins this game. And so I just, God, please win this game. Please win this game.
Yeah, and this was probably one of the best games that I've seen this year. Was the back and forth battle, the Clemson versus Fighting Irish game. But you know it as well as me. It is always hard to beat a team twice, especially after you beat them the first. Or I mean, it is hard to beat a team twice, especially after they beat them the way that the Irish did. It was an offensive shootout. With that being said, Trevor Lawrence did not play, so that alone will give them a little bit of more confidence going into this game. And how the Clemson Tigers are going to win this game is they're going to get pressure on Ian Book early. They're going to hit him early and often. That is how you beat the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, is get Ian Book pressured, flawed, and throw some interceptions. Ian has only thrown 2 interceptions on the year. I think he is going to double that in this game because of the pressure that the Clemson Tigers are going to bring to him. And there's going to be a lot of single coverage on the outside, and there's going to be a lot of big plays, but he is going to get hit play after play after play. And come the third quarter, that is going to take a toll on him, and those big plays won't be so big because he's going to short arm some throws.
So in that game versus Notre Dame, their quarterback threw for 434 yards. Do you know how many times Trevor Lawrence has thrown for 434 yards this season?
Probably 0. He hasn't played a whole lot. Yeah.
0. Oh, he's played plenty. He's got what we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 8 games of their 10 that they've played. So he's never thrown. This season he hasn't thrown for any more than 403 yards, and he's only thrown for over 351. He's only done that twice.
Okay, now do you want to know why he?
You're
has
not going to tell me
much?
that him being in this game makes a big difference compared to their quarterback, because their other quarterback, their backup quarterback, threw for more yards in that game than he has all season long.
Combs, do you want to know why Trevor Lawrence has not thrown over 350 yards this season? Because he hasn't had to. Because when he is on the field, he gives off that aura around the whole team that rides around him. Look at Tim Tebow and the Florida Gators. Tim Tebow rallied the whole team, just not the offense, just not the special teams, just not the defense, the whole team. That's what Trevor Lawrence does, gives that whole team the confidence to perform, so the defense plays lights out, so he doesn't have to throw for 40 times in a game.
Oh, really? Okay. So against Miami, he threw for 41 times in that game. He was 29 of 41, and he threw for 292 yards. Against Syracuse, he was 27 of 43 for 289 yards. Against Pitt, he was 26 of 37 for 403 yards. Against Virginia, he was 25 of 38 for 329 yards. When he throws the ball more than 30 times, he is not a very good quarterback, which is why, again, I say, and I know this isn't just about Trevor Lawrence, but I keep saying this, and people keep calling me silly when I say it. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a bust in the NFL because he can't throw the ball more than 30 times.
It seems like I've heard that before. I definitely have said that on the show a time or two, but he's still a good college quarterback. Moving on to the next game, the SEC championship game. We had the number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide versus the number 7 Florida Gators, 8 p.m. on CBS. Tell me why Florida's going to win this game.
Because they are Florida, baby. Kyle Trask, Florida is going to win this game, and somehow, someway, Alabama will still get in over a one-loss Texas A&M, even though Texas A&M's only loss will be to Alabama, and so making Alabama's loss a little bit worse than theirs. Florida's got to come out and do something special. I mean, there's no beating around the bush there. They have to come out and play a flawless game. Alabama is still Alabama. They're always going to be Alabama. Nick Saban is Nick Saban. He's the best coach in college football. But to beat them, you have to play a flawless game on both sides of the field. You just do. So that being said, Florida's capable of that. Kyle Trask is capable of that. Kyle Trask, Mr. 40 touchdowns, almost 4,000 yards, is capable of that. And Alabama could be sleeping on them. And this could be a trap game for Alabama, even though it is the SEC title game. So look for Kyle Trask to do Kyle Trask things. Look for Florida to open up this pass game and just try to absolutely dominate Alabama and keep that Alabama offense off the field. And it's going to be a shootout. And I don't know if Florida can do it, but that's how they do it. Flawless football.
Combs, there's literally puke coming out of your mouth right now. Let me go ahead and bring in one of my guys, and there's puke coming out of your mouth right now. To say that the SEC championship game is a trap game, come on. You are literally battling for a championship and then an opportunity to play for a second championship. If you do not show up, you do not deserve to be on the field whatsoever at all. However, on the flip side of that coin, I have been on the opposite side of a team when you don't show up and play a football game, much like what Florida did at LSU. Practice last week sucked for Florida. Coaches were yelling at them. They were dragging butt. They did not want to go to practice. And it is going to hang over till the second quarter of this SEC championship game. And then they realize, hey, we got to show up and play. How Alabama is going to win this game is they're going to capitalize on this, on this worst week of practice ever that the Florida Gators have ever had. And they're going to bring pressure to Trask, make him throw some interceptions, make him throw some bad passes, and just force Florida to be one-dimensional, much like what Oklahoma is going to do to Iowa State. And both of these teams are high-scoring offenses, right? They both average over 42 points in a game, but Alabama has the best defense that I've seen, like, year in and year out. Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide, they are going to have a defensive scheme that is going to confuse Trask. And this is going to be a defensive shootout game. We are not going to see 40-plus points. We're going to see 21-10. And if that score is correct, Alabama will win that game 10 out of 10 times. Florida has to score over 20 points to win this game, and they're not going to do it.
Yeah, look, Alabama's defense is really good, but they do, they do allow pass yards. If there is a weakness to their game, it is, their secondary. And so, look, Florida does have to come out and play a flawless game. I mean, they've got to play a perfect game. It's also Florida's only chance at getting into the college football playoff is to beat Alabama, and even then it's still a long shot, but it's still their only shot. So they do have to come out and play a perfect game. And I mean, again, Alabama's Alabama.
Let me go on the record and state this here on the Big X Sports Radio. If Florida beats Alabama, they will be the first two-loss team in the college football playoff. Let me state that here right now. If Florida beats Alabama, they'll be the first two-loss team.
So you think they leapfrog Cincinnati, Texas A&M, and Georgia?
Yes, there has never been an SEC champion left out of the playoff.
If they beat Alabama, this will be the first time it happens. So you're not leapfrogging a one-loss Texas A&M into the college football playoff, well, unless Notre Dame beats Clemson, because then I think Clemson's out. So then maybe you're right, but.
Okay, so guys, we have told you how each respective team can win the game, but let's go ahead and tell you who is going to win the game. So, Combs, who do you have in the Northwestern versus the Ohio State game?
Northwestern, man. That defense, I really believe in what Pat Fitzgerald has done up there. I really love Pat Fitzgerald. Like I said, he's a big listener to our show, and I really want him to coach the Bears next year. So I'm picking Pat Fitzgerald and Northwestern.
I will be rooting for the Wildcats. I will have my purple on. It may not be Northwestern purple, but it'll be purple. But I just think Ohio State is just too good, too talented at the quarterback position to lose this game. I'm taking Ohio State, and they've been to Indianapolis quite a bit, so it's like their home stadium at the end of the day. The Big 12 championship game, we have Oklahoma take on Iowa State. Who are you taking?
Taking Iowa State. Iowa State's a better team in this one. Like I said when we were going over the picks, and Brees Hall is a beast on the ground. I think Iowa State runs all over this Oklahoma defense, and I think they win this by 2 scores.
This game is going to be a shootout. It would not surprise me if it's 56-53 at the end of the game. However, I don't think
you're going to say at the half.
No. However, I do think Iowa State is the better overall team in this game. They are fighting for the college football playoff lives. But like I said, they've never allowed a 2-loss team in there. So we'll see what happens up toward the top.
I'll tell you right now, I may have misspoke. I said there's no way unless Northwestern's getting rolled that I see any of this game. If I happen to see it's 56-53 at halftime, I will switch over and I will watch this game.
I am also taking Iowa State in this game. I just like Iowa State. Let's jump over to the SEC championship game, Alabama versus Florida. Who do you got in this one?
Look, I just told you Florida has to play a perfect game in order to beat Alabama. I'm not betting against Alabama until they give me a reason to bet against Alabama. So I'm taking Alabama in this game.
I will be rooting for Florida in this game as well because I do have a bet like in this game if Alabama doesn't or loses the national or doesn't win the national championship game, I had to eat a raw egg. So I want them to lose every chance that they can get. But this game will show you that Trask is going to be a great NFL quarterback because he's going to play a NFL caliber defense. But Alabama is just something's good down there, and you cannot root against Alabama or bet against
the Bears
Alabama.
don't drop the ball and pass on this kid.
Yeah, and then the final game that we're going to further discuss here is the Clemson Tigers versus the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I'd assume you're taking the Irish, but who do you got in this one?
Notre Dame, baby. Look, I said it when we were breaking this down. Notre Dame beat Clemson fair and square. Whether they had Trevor Lawrence or not didn't actually matter. I think they got a better quarterback play out of their backup than they did out of Trevor Lawrence, and Notre Dame still won. Trevor Lawrence or no Trevor Lawrence, Notre Dame wins this game. It's another close game. It's another a battle right down to the end. Might even be another overtime game. But Notre Dame wins this game, and even if they don't, I still think that they're in the college football playoff regardless.
So I think Clemson is going to win this game, not because of the play of Trevor Lawrence, not because of the play of XYZ. It is because Notre Dame has never been in a conference championship game. They have never been there. They don't know how to prepare for a championship game. When was the last time they played for a national championship? Do you know off the top of your head?
It was the year that Manti Te'o had a
fake girlfriend,
make-believe girlfriend.
Yeah. So that was like Brian Kelly's first year there, or is Brian Kelly even there yet?
Yeah, he was there. I think it was the second or third season.
Okay, so Brian Kelly hasn't prepared for a championship game in over 5 years. He doesn't know how to do it, and that is going to bite them in the butt in the end. I think Clemson comes out on top, and their postseason experience shines here. So I think they win by 10, like in this game. But the 10 is going to come late. They're going to score a late touchdown to push it forward.
Do you agree with me that even if Notre Dame loses, they're in the college football playoff?
So
with all the 2-loss teams that are behind them, their one loss comes in the ACC title game to Clemson. Does that a team that they've already beat once, does that knock them out of the playoff?
So, like I said, like it is all going to depend on what Ohio State does. Because for one, I think Alabama is in win or lose in this game. So let's say Alabama, they are a 1 or a 4 seed, win or lose that championship game. Let's say Ohio State gets beat by Northwestern. And then let's say Notre Dame loses to Clemson. I think Notre Dame finds theirself outside looking in, and Ohio State stays in there at the 4 seed. And I want to say
so you're saying if Ohio State loses, they stay ahead of Notre Dame?
Yeah, I do.
Ooh, boy, I'm telling you right now, if that happens, you will not want to miss our show next week right here on Big X Radio, because your boy Combs will be going off. If Ohio State at 5-1 makes a college football playoff and Notre Dame at 10-1 does not, I'm telling you right now, we may never be able to talk college football again, because the NCAA may come in and find a way to ban us from ever talking it ever again.
Comb, let's take him to the 2-minute warning.
That'll bring us to the 2-minute warning.
And on this 2-minute warning, guys, we are going to talk about the college football playoff. Obviously, this is near and dear to our heart. This show, we talk about it all hour here. So, Combs, from all the championship games, all the teams that are pretty much locked in, who are your 4 teams that are going to make it to the college football playoff in the 2020 season?
Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Texas A&M.
I agree with your first 3. I don't know if A&M can make their way in. Yes, they are playing this week. They're playing the Tennessee Volunteers, not a very good team whatsoever. So if A&M struggles versus the Volunteers at all, I don't see them jumping in there. This is tough for me, but I'm going to take Alabama at number 1, Notre Dame number 2, Ohio State number 3, and I think Clemson comes in at number 4 with
2
their
losses, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think they beat Notre Dame, so everybody will have, or Notre Dame and Clemson will have 1 losses, and Ohio State and Alabama will be undefeated.
Okay.
So we agree on 3. Just I don't know if you can let Texas A&M play or again, like, I don't know.
With 1 loss, it's hard to put with a 1-loss SEC team. It's hard to put a 2-loss team in ahead of them. It just is.
And we do know there's SEC bias out there, so I don't know. But guys, that's going to be it for the Man Hour. Join us every Monday through Thursday live on YouTube.com/Man Hour at 8 p.m. East Coast time, starting January 4th. You can also find us on iTunes and Spotify if you missed any part of the show whatsoever. Also on iHeartRadio. Combs, any last thoughts before I head out for the day?
Go Irish.
Man, all right, guys. See you next week.